Number 3. Duel at Kagiya no Tsuji. The duel at Kagiya no Tsuji was a revenge battle that took place in 1634 during the early Edo period in present-day Iga City, Mie Prefecture. The story begins 4 years before the duel, in 1630, within the Okayama domain. At the time, the lord of the domain was Ikeda Tadao, a grandson of Tokugawa Ieyasu. After becoming the feudal lord, he worked hard to renovate Okayama Castle and develop the surrounding castle town. Tadao was also known to be homosexual and favored a page named Watanabe Gendayu. One day, a tragic incident occurred that would eventually lead to the famous duel. A fellow retainer of the domain, Kawai Matagoro, fell in love with Gendayu. Obsessed with love, Matagoro confessed his feelings and approached Gendayu, but Gendayu rejected him. Enraged by the rejection, Matagoro lost control and murdered Gendayu. Now a fugitive, Matagoro fled to Edo, where he was given shelter by a Hatamoto, a direct retainer of the shogun. Outraged, Ikeda Tadao petitioned the shogunate for Matagoro's extradition. However, the request was denied. This refusal escalated tensions between the Okayama domain and the Tokugawa shogunate. In 1632, Tadao suddenly died of smallpox. On his deathbed, he left a will: avenge Gendayu by killing Matagoro. His loyal retainer and Gendayu's younger brother, Kazuma, vowed to fulfill this wish. He left his domain and set out to seek revenge. Since Kazuma lacked swordsmanship skills, he sought the help of a renowned swordsman of the Shinkagiryu school, Araki Mataemon, his brother-in-law. Araki agreed to help. Together, they set off to confront Matagoro. On the day of the duel, Kazuma, Mataemon, and 2 disciples lay in wait at Kagiya no Tsuji, a crossroads near Iga Ueno Castle. Matagoro's group numbered 11. At 8 a.m., the confrontation began as they approached on horseback, and a fierce battle broke out. Though outnumbered 4-11, Araki Mataemon fearlessly cut down enemy after enemy. He slashed the thigh of an enemy on horseback, then rode under the horse to strike a fatal blow from the other side. While Matagoro's disciples struggled against Sakurai Hanbei, a spear expert, Mataemon rushed to their aid and sliced Hanbei in half with a single blow. An enemy tried to strike Mataemon with a wooden sword, but he knocked it away and fought back using a short sword after his blade broke. The enemy fled in fear. At last, Kazuma and Matagoro faced off one-on-one. Their duel is said to have lasted 6 hours, likely because neither had much experience in real sword combat. In the end, Kazuma avenged his brother Gendayu's death. In the Edo period, revenge was considered a right of samurai. It was standard to notify one's domain before carrying out revenge, which ensured exemption from murder charges. It had to be for superior relative, and the avenger had to be of a lower rank. There were also rules for those who helped. The avenger had to strike the fatal blow, and assistants like Araki Mataemon were not supposed to directly kill the target. Mataemon's conduct at the duel followed this custom perfectly. Number 2. The Soga Brothers' Revenge. The Revenge of the Soga Brothers is one of the most famous vendettas in Japanese history. It took place on May 28, 1193, at the foot of Mount Fuji in Suruga province. The story begins in 1176, when the brothers were still children. Their father, Kawazu Sukiyasu, was killed during a conflict over land. He was murdered by a follower of Kudo Suketsune. At the time, the elder brother, Juro, was 5 years old, and the younger brother, Goro, was just 3. From that moment on, the brothers grew up with a strong desire for revenge in their hearts. Meanwhile, Kudo Suketsune, the man behind their father's death, pledged loyalty to the new shogun, Minamoto no Yoritomo. He became a respected retainer and a cultured man in the Kamakura shogunate. 17 years later, the brothers learned that Suketsune would attend a grand hunting event hosted by the shogun called the Fuji no Makigari. On the night of May 28, 1193, the Soga brothers received word that Kudo Suketsune was staying in a temporary lodge in the Fuji Plains, today's Fujinomiya City in Shizuoka Prefecture. Juro, the elder brother, stayed calm and composed. Goro, the younger, was filled with silent rage. In the darkness of night, the two made their way toward the lodge in silence. With their swords drawn, they crept into the lodge, where Suketsune was drinking with the other warriors. Then, without hesitation, the brothers struck. 17 years of longing for revenge were fulfilled in a single moment. Suketsune had no time to react. He was cut down on the spot. The samurai who was present at the gathering was also killed in a sudden attack. The brothers had succeeded in their mission, but they didn't run. They knew that fleeing would bring punishment upon the entire Soga family, so instead they stood their ground, ready to die. Soon the lodge erupted in chaos. Screams echoed as retainers rushed to confront the intruders. The brothers fought fiercely. Samurai like Horitota and Utsuki Hachiro were injured. Over 10 men were cut down by the brothers' blades. But in the middle of the fight, Juro was struck down. Goro, seeing his beloved brother fall, rushed to his side, clutched his body and cried out in grief. Blinded by sorrow and rage, Goro rose again. He continued to fight like a madman, cutting through any who blocked his path, and made his way toward the shogun's quarters. At last, Goro broke into Yoritomo's lodge, but there a lone warrior stood waiting, Gosho Goromaru. Alone, he managed to overpower and capture the furious avenger. The next morning, Goro was brought before Shogun Yoritomo. He explained the reason for the revenge and spoke openly of his love for his father. The shogun admired his courage and considered sparing him, but those around him strongly objected. In the end, Goro was executed. This story touched the hearts of many with its themes of loyalty and bravery. It later became a popular subject in traditional Japanese theater, such as No and Kabuki, and is still remembered today. Number 1. The Ako Incident. The Ako Incident took place in 1702, when 47 rōnin from the Ako domain stormed the mansion of Kira Yoshihisa in Matsuzaka Town, Edo, modern-day Tokyo, and avenged the death of their former lord, Asano Naganori. It is the most famous revenge story in Japanese history. The chain of events began 1 year and 8 months earlier. In a corridor of Edo Castle, Asano Naganori suddenly drew his sword and attacked Kira Yoshihisa after a dispute. It is widely believed that Kira had persistently harassed Asano. Asano was ordered to commit seppuku later the same day by the shogun. His domain was abolished immediately. His treatment was harsh. He was reportedly forced to perform seppuku in plain clothes instead of formal samurai robes, and the tip of the blade was extended to around 2.4 inches, a method reserved for severe criminals. At the time, Japan followed the rule of punishing both parties in conflicts, meaning both sides were to be penalized. But in this case, Kira received no punishment whatsoever. The retainers left behind pleaded with the shogunate to allow Asano's younger brother to inherit the family name and estate, but this was denied. All of them became masterless samurai, rōnin. Determined to restore their lord's honor, the rōnin secretly planned revenge under the leadership of the chief retainer, Oishi Kuranosuke. They went into hiding in Edo, assumed false identities and occupations, and spent over a year preparing their plan. They chose December 14th as the day of the attack, when Kira was scheduled to host a tea gathering. Although Kira's mansion was guarded by over 100 men, due to rumors of retaliation, the 47 rōnin divided into two teams with clearly assigned roles and moved with military precision. Dressed in white clothes with black haori jackets, they approached silently. The back gate team broke in first, followed by the front gate team. Inside the mansion, chaos broke out. Souls crashed in the living rooms, sleeping quarters, kitchen, and even the storage rooms. Some of Kira's retainers fled in confusion, while others resisted fiercely. The fighting lasted about 90 minutes. According to records, 17 of Kira's men were killed and many more were injured. Several of the Ako rōnin were wounded, but none died. Eventually, they realized Kira was nowhere to be seen, but noticing that the bedding was still warm, they concluded he was hiding inside the mansion. At last, they found him concealed behind a storage chest, along with 3 retainers. Oishi Kuranosuke confirmed his identity and gave the signal. Kira was immediately beheaded. Their revenge was complete. They carried Kira's head to Sengakuji Temple, where their lord Asano was buried. They placed the head before his grave and reported their success. After the ritual, they turned themselves into the authorities. Normally, such an act would result in execution by beheading. However, the shogunate, recognizing their loyalty and honor, allowed them to die by seppuku. On March 20th, 1703, all 47 rōnin committed seppuku at various daimyo residences in Edo. It is said that they did so with calm dignity